Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
I've been playing more Power Wash Simulator.
Yes?
That's about it really. It's been a quiet week as far as things I'm doing are concerned.
Good. You didn't swear yourself into a couple of random
No.
ministries in the government?
No,
Secretly?
I didn't. No.
Right, okay.
No.
That would have been fun to do.
It would have.
Yes.
You know, for a lark.
To cause some controversy, controversial matters.
Always good in the opening years of a new government to focus entirely on the failures of the old government.
Oh, it's standard form.
Mm.
Anyway. So nothing else?
No, not really.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. I've done very little myself. Donated plasma again. The highlight of that was that I got my arm wrapped up at the end of things after the big chunky needle had been pulled out of my arm. They wrapped it up and I stood up and it sprung a leak.
Yeah.
And I bled all over the floor and all over my arm and fortunately not on my clothes. Yes, so... And then you would think in a place like that they would have a spill kit all ready to go to clean up such things, but no, everyone was running around, oh, does anybody know where such and such is? No, there's none in this cupboard, and I'll go look out the back. No.
All the while you're standing there bleeding out.
No, I sat down and put some pressure on it and watched as everyone ran around.
Okay, all the while you're sitting there bleeding out.
Yeah. And people sort of looking at me, you're not going to pass out on us, are you? You know, sight of blood and all that. Nah, it's all good. Oh, good. Yes, so that was my highlight for the plasma donation this week. And got very little walking done this week because of the weather. Although today I got... What did I get today? Oh yeah, a little over 15 Ks. Almost 19,000 steps. So.
And then on Tuesday, something popped up in the podcast feed for... I don't know.
What?
Some reason.
Yes, it was interesting. There is very little coordination between the thumbnailing of the podcast and the recording of the podcast. And Thomas had assumed that I'd left something in from the beginning of our recording last week, and I hadn't because it just didn't sort of fit. But I did think to actually render it out as just that little block and thought, I might release that later in the week. And it was fortunate that I did that. I left it a little late to release it, but it's out there in the wild for what it's worth.
Yeah. I was trying to think of all the times that we could possibly release it during the week, and I think that was the best possible anyway.
Yeah.
We're a Thursday podcast, and where do you put anything else?
Exactly. Speaking of Thursday podcasts, we have a Thursday podcast to record.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, yes. A peek behind the curtain. We are recording on a Wednesday. Gone many moons ago, it was a case of recording on the Wednesday and madly editing and releasing maybe on the Wednesday night or very early, very, very early on Thursday morning. And then I crawl into bed. What a crazy person I was doing that. No more. So
No.
Recording Wednesday and releasing Thursday whilst editing on Thursday morning. So, yes. But to do that, we have to record this podcast.
We do.
Well, we don't have to.
Well,
So we won't.
if we want it to go out...
Okay. All right. What are we watching this week?
We are watching Dead Poets Society.
Now, did I have it as something I wish to watch, and you had it as
That's a great question.
you wish to watch?
Yes, it is on both lists.
So it's a double whammy. I have only watched it once, I think. And yes, it'll be an interesting look into our psyches. What is it all about, Thomas?
For generations, Welton Academy students have been groomed to the lives of conformity and tradition, until new Professor John Keating inspires them to think for themselves, live life to the fullest, and carpe diem. This unconventional approach awakens the spirits of the students, but draws the wrath of a disapproving faculty when an unexpected tragedy strikes the school.
That's what we're watching.
It is.
I'm trying to bring it up on Disney Plus, which is where it is streaming here. So we're going to watch this once the moon is in alignment with Jupiter and Saturn and all other planets, and we're going to watch it and then we'll talk about it. So we'll catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
No, we can't even turn it on, let alone turn it to side B.
Turn to page 5.
When Tinkerbell rings her bell. Ding-ding-ding. Mongrel. So what did you think?
That was solid. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that much more to say about it at this stage.
I'm sitting through it and thinking, now, does this rate as an Entu Osferatu short podcast or an Entu Osferatu long podcast? And, and the further we got through it, I'm thinking, this is going to be an Entu Osferatu short podcast.
Yeah.
Because I didn't write any notes at all.
No.
Yeah, it is solid.
Yeah.
It really is a solid film. I do have some problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is very much a me thing. And that is, there were so many faces that I could not keep track of who each one of them was. I was fine with Todd and Neil.
Mm-hmm.
So the two mains, I guess. But then trying to keep track of who was going off with whom and doing this. And there were various other stories that really didn't add to the rest of the story, but my brain was still trying to keep track of faces to names and failing miserably, and faces to what they did. And yeah, some of them blended into one another, and it was a mess to the point where at the end they have the recognition of their teacher. I'm going, was he in the main group or was he not in the main group?
Because some of them weren't.
Some of them were, yeah. So it was a bit mess, but that's my problem.
I gotta be honest, I don't usually have that problem, and yeah, this one's tough.
Yeah,
it is difficult to put character names to faces.
It did not help that there were a lot of them either. The group was large and possibly didn't need to be, I don't know. And the other problem that possibly had to do with the fact that there were so many other B-plot stories going on was that the main plot felt sudden as far as the acting. The stage acting was concerned. It was as if he was visiting the stage for the first time, and then in the next scene, he's on stage performing.
We see him going to an audition.
Yep.
Coming back from a rehearsal.
Yep.
To find his father sitting on his bed.
Yep.
And then we see the performance.
Yeah. I really felt that possibly there could have been more of a development of him discovering his love of the stage and of acting, and so that felt crunched quite significantly.
There are so many of these subplots, and yet some of these characters get barely any time.
Yeah, so it was a bit mixed. It really felt as if it was a much longer film and whole chunks of it had been chopped out.
And it's already quite long.
Yeah.
It's over 2 hours.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like a long film. It was certainly the length that it should have been, but as far as being comfortable with lengthwise, but I felt that the chopping of stories was possibly not done the way I would have done it, which is, again, a personal opinion. I don't know. How do you feel as an assessment?
The love interest plotline in particular doesn't really tie back into anything afterwards. No. In and of itself, it has certainly been done a number of times and it was quite familiar, but it didn't progress other than to showing that he's a, in quotes, typical teenager and had interests other than this core group of dead poets, but also had the connection of, with the result that the relationships between the group and him didn't develop either. Yeah, I think that's quite probably the subplot that I would have removed to give that development of Neil's love of acting to develop. But other than that, no, it was a very, very solid film, and I just had a freak out to double check that I'd actually hit record, because for what little we have to say on this really good film that has actually aged very, very well. It's helped by the fact that it was already set in the past, so that, it's got that advantage of not aging. There are occasional bits of obviously 80s soundtrack just sprinkled in there sometimes. Usually fairly normal, vaguely orchestral, like vaguely real orchestral. But just once, as they were going to the cave the first time. And that is very much a Peter Weir using Maurice Jarre, or Jarre. Still don't know how to pronounce that. But yes, he is an amazing composer, but his synths can be a bit of an undoing. We didn't find that in... Now, what film was it that it didn't seem incongruous even though there was a time difference? But in this... there were some places where he in fact used more orchestration than he did in the other film that is still eluding me. Far more orchestration, so that when the synths were used, it sort of clashed against itself rather than clashing against the film itself. Acting. Good. Yep. Good acting. Watching Robin Williams act also makes me wonder how much of the reactions of the students were actual real reactions to ad-libbing, because there was genuine humour involved there and reaction to humour. So it was... Apparently, Williams kept making jokes and Ethan Hawke got annoyed. Yes, I suspect there were quite a few. Okay, let's do that take again. So acting, very, very good. The teachers were stereotypical, I guess. The story wasn't much about them, was it? No. Which isn't an excuse. Now, was I right at the very end, where Robin Williams is up in his room packing his stuff away and he looks out the window and there's the Latin teacher
Did I get the impression that the Latin teacher was trying to try new things that he saw?
Yeah, maybe?
Taking the kids out, at least, out of the classroom.
Which doesn't seem like a Latin thing to do at all.
No, exactly. I still am completely perplexed by the whole concept of teaching Latin, which is a...
Oh, if you understand the language that the people of long ago used when they were making big important decisions, it will allow you to more clearly understand what they are saying in the original text.
I'm trying to Google how to say poppycock in Latin.
That's the argument
yeah.
that came up when I put into Google the words "why Latin."
Yes.
That was it. That was the entire search phrase.
Yes. I'm glad that for the most part it has shuffled off. I certainly didn't have to learn Latin at school. I did have to learn how to use log tables, not slide rules, but logarithmic tables to work out. Can't even remember.
No, we had scientific and/or graphing calculators
Yes.
at that point, so
Yeah.
so we didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes. That was the weird thing as far as, I guess, dead languages or a lack of usefulness. The big example for me was the fact that, yes, we all had access to scientific calculators, but the syllabus still required us to learn how to look up these tables to give you a slightly less accurate answer than the calculator would give you. Yes. It was only a few years after that I guess they decided to no longer require you to do that.
I get the impression that teaching of Latin at the ages shown in the film has largely been consigned to private schools of a particular variety.
Indeed. And even those.
And I get the further impression that that's one of a number of languages that you might be required to learn in such a school. You pick one.
Yes. I see it far, far more useful to learn a second language that you can actually use to converse with a country's people, so that when you visit that country you would be able to converse with them. But unless you've got a time machine to shuffle you off to ancient Rome, I don't see the point. Unless you're planning to name animals and plants. And
I played a game that shuffled me off to ancient Rome, but they all appeared to the player character as if they were speaking English. And everyone else thought they were speaking Latin, or their own language of some variety.
You stuffed a babel fish in your ear. Good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
We do.
Do you have anything else to say about that film?
No.
Well, we shall move on then.
We shall. The following segment has no title. We apologise for the inconvenience. And we start...
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
We do start 2 weeks ago.
And if I'd been thinking, I probably should have had it pulled up first.
Honestly.
But I was busy looking at other things that had come through.
We pay you the big bucks.
No, you don't. You don't. I am not paid for this.
That's right. All the money from our Patreon goes straight to me.
So,
yes,
Dunkel.
Hi, Dunkel.
Has left a few comments.
Yes.
On our episode on Oblivion. These comments are last minute. I wonder if they will be read before the episode 2 episodes from now. This is the episode 2 episodes from when you said it. So no, you were too late.
Too late.
When this comes out, think about 24 hours before that.
Yes.
And then post your last minute comments. So
you have only just discovered them?
No.
Right.
I I heard them.
I haven't, I don't think.
Dunkel,
Hi, Dunkel.
in a second
Again.
comment, says congratulations to Helen on getting extremely loud and incredibly close.
Yeah, Helen, congratulations on getting
Yeah.
incredibly loud and disastrously close. In fact, spot on.
And gives the same wrong guess for Oblivion that Helen gave last week, OBLVON.
Yeah.
Because...
It
well,
was
we'll
wrong
get to
last
that.
week, and it's wrong this week as well. Dunkel will find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dunkel, in a third comment...
Hi, Dunkel.
spent the first half of the discussion about this movie imagining we were talking about some 1990s film that she had not seen or heard of, having forgotten that it came out in 2013 and that she had indeed watched it and forgotten.
This is an ongoing theme with this film. It's maybe if we isolate the soundtrack to that film, there is subliminal messaging saying, you will forget this film. You will forget this film. And we've all been subjected to mind wiping. Because I don't remember it.
I remember it a little,
All right.
but only because I watched it twice in the course of a few days.
Yeah, it was quite close, wasn't it?
And possibly a third time some years prior. But
Yep.
again, who's to say?
Who's to say? We can't remember.
Helen,
Hi, Helen.
on last week's episode,
Okay.
wherein the near present is indignant about the choice of file name for Oblivion.
Tough.
And continues
Yes.
to guess
Yes.
BGHRO 6, which I am led to believe is correct.
No, that's a 0.
No, that's not a 0. I can see directly below the file
there's a
name.
stripe.
There are a whole heap of zeros
Okay.
in the same font.
Now, is this the one that you said, no one's going to get that?
No, that was Oblivion with a Y.
Oh, that's right. That was Oblivion with a Y. Okay, yes. Because I'm thinking, you really can't be anything other than BGHRO6.
Except for something different.
Yes. Which it isn't. It is indeed. Helen has got it correct.
She had thought of this seconds before I made a potentially hint-giving comment.
A potentially hint-giving. It was a blatant hint-giving comment.
What other characters do you have access to over there?
That's right.
Is it just alphanumerics?
It's actually BGHRO asterisk. I can't check because we're in the middle of recording.
Yeah, we are in the middle of recording.
No, I think it's numbers. There's also an underscore and maybe a slash. Can't remember.
Slash, I don't know that they'd go with slash.
No, I think it's space.
file
There is
reasons.
space.
Yeah, space seems more likely.
Yeah.
Slash can be a problem for file systems.
It can. So it's alpha, numeric, a underscore, and space, I think.
Yeah.
We'll update you in the show notes.
And not an asterisk.
No.
That would also be a problem for file systems. You have put a wildcard in your file name. Are you sure? She continues.
Yes.
She thought of some other things to say as well, but can't remember what they were.
Good.
Maybe one of them was that she had also noticed, as Entosferatu noted last week,
Right.
the relationship between likiness and podcast length.
Yes. Hence, I'm making an effort to extend the length of this podcast by being particularly verbose in my comments towards the comments that have been contributed to the podcast via many sorts of media, such as Facebook and Twitter and the secret men's business that Entu Osferatu uses.
So what you're saying is that you're attempting to be excessively wordy in order to pad out the running time of this, our iPod cast.
One could suggest that if one was brave enough to step in that particular direction.
If they were brave enough.
If they were brave enough. Right.
Yes. And Entosferatu only chimes in to say that having not watched Road Quest yourself, you are missing out.
And whilst editing last week's episode, I thought, right, once I've finished editing, I must track down Road Quest and watch it. And do you think I did that?
No,
I didn't.
I'd like to apologise, by the way, for telling you that it's 10 episodes long. It's 12 episodes long. 2 of the days that they were out recording ran over 2 episodes. Because they felt that was a good idea. And
fair enough.
It was.
A lot happened.
Yes, a lot happened on those days.
As long as it doesn't involve a dead animal being stuffed in the trunk of a car.
No.
Oh,
No.
That's right, because there is no...
None of them are exactly like Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
No.
Good. All right, so I shall make an effort, and I'm making a reminder to myself by saying this. I must track down Road Quest and watch it.
Keep in mind, it is 12 television-length episodes.
Are we talking 43-minute length episodes, or are we talking 25-minute television length episodes?
That is a great question,
I have forgotten. And it is a question that enables us once again to pad out the podcast such that I will have to edit more. I'm shooting myself in the foot here, aren't I?
Yeah. Averaging out to around a commercial hour, which is to say about 42 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Some of them are longer because it's a web series and they can do that.
They can, yes. All right. Any other comments from the world of the
Loading Ready Run Discord? Who would have guessed that there would be people who have seen Road Quest, a Loading Ready Run production, on the Loading Ready Run Discord?
I don't know.
No.
Who can say?
No, I don't.
All right.
I don't think there was anything else either on last week's episode or this Tuesday's bonus content.
Right. Okay. Well, we shall move on then.
Yes.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
It's your turn.
It is my turn. And
you've had an idea?
I have had an idea. I have indeed.
And
so I'm just going to...
that you have a list of streaming services up on your phone.
No, that was quite by accident.
Oh. Yes. My Movies is just sitting there inside them?
I don't know what happened there, but I do have a selection.
A selection?
I have selected from the selection of selected movies. So...
For this, our prestigious film festival.
That's right. Okay, so the reason I have selected this is because of a podcast that I listened to today, who also reviewed this movie and pointed out the fact that this very month, this particular film is 10 years old.
Okay.
Okay, so it came out in August of...
2012.
Well done.
Is it?
Yes.
2012.
No, it is not. It is not. Okay. So...
I can't remember. Did 2012 come out in 2000? No, it came out in 2011.
9, was it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Fair enough.
It got to warn people about it beforehand.
That's right.
Wouldn't be any use telling them about it as it's happening.
No, and it wouldn't give them enough time to market all their Mayan calendar merchandise that the people could at least use up till 2012.
The end is incredibly nigh.
Incredibly nigh. All right.
So it's not 2012.
It is not.
But it is from 2012.
It is. Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
And I'm going to slightly change the description so that I don't give too much away. A misunderstood local boy who is able to speak to the dead takes on zombies, ghosts, witches, and worst of all, grown-ups, to save his town from a centuries-old curse. From animation company
Buzz?
Yes.
Is this paranorman?
I shall go on. From animation company Leica, who brought you the groundbreaking Academy Award-nominated Coraline, Paranorman is a hilarious, spooky adventure that will thrill the whole family.
I was thinking, okay, 2012, is it paranorman? The timing seems about right. Yeah. And then you started saying animated, and I'm like, okay, yes, it's definitely paranorman.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So I could have got more points there.
You could have got in there well earlier.
Although, that said, the first thing I thought of was The Sixth Sense, which is obviously incorrect.
Yes. They both see dead people.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I should point out that upon listening to the podcast, I had a sneaking suspicion that I had put this on my list when I initially made the list, and double-checked, and it is indeed on my list of films that I want to revisit, so I felt that it was appropriate that we grabbed this. So that's the plan.
That is the plan.
Next week, we are watching the stop-motion animated film Paranorman. We hope that you can join us as we do so. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
That's it. That's how the podcast ends.
Oh, that's right.
Every week.
That's it.
That's how it goes.
It's a wrap.
You say
Tomato.
Catch you next time, and I say bye.
Yeah.
And that's how the podcast ends. There's nothing after that.
There isn't.
Okay. There's credits, right?
Yes.
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 And then.
But
and
if I'm canny,
then,
I will have put them before this conversation.
Yes.
Which may or may not remain, depending on
Mm.
whether I decide that it's actually
And
worthy of continuing on.
and then I play 3 notes on my ukulele and the podcast ends.
Completely?
Yes. Well, until next week.
3 notes.
Yes. Dun dun dun. Oh, sorry, and then a chord. Dlung.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Except my bloopers come after that.
Yes, they do. They do. Yes.
I'm stopping now.
Switch, reverse it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Dlung.